Chris's Comics Corner. Chris, what comic book are you looking at today?
Thanks, Prof. What if I gave you a comic from DC's Silver Age? What if I gave you a story about a DC superhero having a bizarre transformation that wasn't Superman or the Flash? And what if I gave you a story about the acquisition of a little to hardly ever seen trophy in Batman's Batcave? Well, today I'm going to give you Batman number 147, Volume 1, cover dated May 1962, cover priced at 12 cents. The cover by Sheldon Moldoff depicts Robin and Batman appearing as a 4-year-old wearing a gray onesie with a Bat logo under some black suspenders and black shorts, bare arms, a cowl, a cape, and dark dress shoes, swinging through an open skylight with Batman kicking a scientist named Garth and a thug named Nails Finney exclaiming, "Look out, it's Bat Baby," and Robin with a caption box stating the story of the year, Batman becomes Bat Baby. The 8.5-page story, Batman Becomes Batbaby, was written by Bill Finger, pencils were done by Sheldon Moldoff, and inks by Charles Paris, and goes as follows, with an opening requisite splash page depicting action later in the story, and the setup caption box that reads, "Imagine Batman as a 4-year-old. Imagine Batman the size of a child, and having to overcome this handicap in order to go on fighting crime. Yes, this is exactly what occurs when Gangland takes revenge upon the great enemy and laughs mockingly when Batman becomes Batbaby." Night in Gotham City, and Batman and Robin follow up on a tip that nails Finney and his gang who robbed from Gotham Jewelry Store 2 nights ago. The duo swoop in and pounce, but Batman is zapped by a ray from a machine activated by a rogue scientist named Garth. The villains drop a smoke bomb and leave Batman, now transformed as a 4-year-old, now wearing oversized clothes, and Robin forced to carry him off. The villains leak a photo to the media the following day of the news that Batman has turned into a baby, and it's all over Gotham, all by the end of page 3 of the story. When the villains smoke and gloat, Garth a bit more nuanced with a cigarette holder, Bruce compensates that he has a new size. The ray evidently left his mind intact. Alfred gives Batman some phone books for Bruce to sit on at the meal table. Bruce works out with a punching bag and a trapeze, and he modifies his costume and adapts to his new persona as Batbaby. That night, on patrol, the duo do okay capturing fleeing villains to a building roof, and Batbaby using a requisite oversized business prop from this era, this time an inflated tire sign, to take him to the roof and pounce on the baddies. Sadly, there is also the requisite cruel sexism from the stories of this time period, as when Kathy Kane comes to visit stately Wayne Manor, and with Batman trying to keep his secret identities of the duo intact, Bruce cruelly uses a cardboard projection to show that Bruce is kissing another woman, causing Kathy to leave in a huff. With Bruce explaining he'll later tell Kathy that he was kissing a cousin, as if there was no other way to get out of this predicament than mean, jealous-inducing deception. Meanwhile, back to the story, little whippersnapper Bruce, playing his new body to his advantage, being able to stake out a fence named Swap Smith, for Nails trying to fence his diamonds, goes unnoticed, and this leading him to follow Nails and to Garth's location. Then, changing costumes, fighting the crooks, Batman using the machine on himself to become adult-sized and to get some final punches in. And with Batman and Robin in the final panel with their profiles looking at the Batbaby costume in the trophy case of the Batcave. The end. Mm-hmm. The other stories in this comic were The Plants of Plunder, which, of course, featured an alien, and The Secret of Mystery Island. The comic book also had a couple of Henry Boltinoff cartoons, house ads for other DC comics, and a coupon to see clown Emmett Kelly at the circus performing at Palisades Amusement Park in New Jersey. Well, for my thoughts, this book was atypical of a Batman comic book from this time period. Aliens and or bizarre transformations with a dash of sexism tropes here and there were, quote, normal stories for the Batman comic books of the late 1950s to the early 1960s. And it would be another year or a dozen issues or so before Batman would adopt a, quote, new look with some more serious stories. That said, this issue, Batman number 147, seemed a bit much, even by its own standards, in my opinion. So, for a bit of Bat nostalgia and a whiff of Bat silliness and a much less serious Batman that you'd see today, I give you Batman number 147 for Chris's Comics Corner.
So Batman 147 is in this week's Chris's Comics Corner.
Now for some comments with respect to some of our previous episodes. When we looked at the film Dracula's Daughter, we heard from listener Emeritus Macrox, who chimed in, I actually like this movie a lot. It's done well with suspense. Wishing you the best, guys. Well, thank you so much, Macrox.
I like that movie a lot, too.
Yes. We also heard from our friend Cat Victory. Check out myself and the Professor as we look at the film Dracula's Daughter on this week's Frenzy Frights, a Professor Frenzy Show production. Thank you so much, Cat Victory.
Yes.
We recently looked at the Twilight Zone episode 2 with Charles Bronson and Elizabeth Montgomery. We heard from David Allen Rose, who said this was a classic Twilight Zone episode. Hear, hear.
Yes, yes.
We heard from Cat Victory once again, who chimed in with the following. According to the famous theme song Wonder Woman, can stop a, quote, war with love, but Charles Bronson could do it with a can of peaches. Find out how with myself and Professor Frenzy on this episode of Frenzy Faves. Thank you so much.
I really like that Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah, I do too. I thought, and you had some great comments in that one, Prof.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you. For a recent That Guy, we looked at Donald Sutherland. We once again heard from Macrox, who stated, what an extraordinary actor, from Clue to MASH to Kelly's Heroes to Hunger Games. I loved him as Oddball in Kelly's Heroes. I want to suggest Leslie Parrish for That Guy/gal. Be well. Hio Silver away.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. That was, he was so good. Did you ever see the movie The Eagle? And I think Macrox would like that movie.
I didn't see The Eagle, but I did see Kelly's Heroes.
Oh, yeah.
I did see Clue. I did see MASH. I also want to... Ordinary People, I thought he was outstanding as the father in that one as well. Yeah. Should have gotten more accolades than the rest of the cast, but fine film, of course. But Sutherland was just outstanding in that one.
Yeah, so good.
Fantastic. Really, really good.
That was a Robert Redford directed movie, right?
Exactly right, Prof. Yeah, and a different sort of serious role for Mary Tyler Moore and Timothy Hutton, of course.
Yeah. I think that was Timothy Hutton's first big movie.
And I think he got an Oscar for that as well.
Yeah, when he was still the son of Jim Hutton.
Yes, indeed.
I mean, he's still the son of Jim Hutton, but...
Yeah. And funny that Macrox mentioned Leslie Parrish, because at the time of this recording, I happened to see her on MeTV twice last night. She was in an episode of Wild Wild West, and she was also in an episode of Star Trek. So I think it was a Who Mourns for Adonis for the Star Trek, and the Night of the Flying Pie Plate was the episode where she plays an alien with green skin as a ruse in the Wild Wild West episode. So yeah, funny. Leslie Parrish twice on MeTV last night in two different series, but two different roles in both shows I loved. So yeah, how about that? Billy D said, love DS for Donald Sutherland. Thank you so much, Billy D. Appreciate that. We also want to give a shout out to the Rondo Awards, and we want to thank Cat Victory for bringing it to our attention. It's time for the Rondo Awards, so thank you so much, Cat Victory, for letting us know about that.
Everyone go out and vote.
Yep. And I also got a comment from Billy D when we looked at Dracula, and Billy D said he enjoyed our talk about Dracula, but Billy D says, I'll be honest, I haven't seen this in quite some long time, the biggest reason being that I don't love it, and I'm not sure why. I'm still a bit stagey, but that's to be expected along with some of its other technical difficulty because of the times. Lugosi never did it for me what Lee does for Dracula. Even as a little kid, Lugosi didn't scare me in the least, but I'll definitely give it a rewatch, though it's been a very long time since I've seen it. Interesting take, and don't be too hard on yourself, Billy D, because I know some people who have the same take with the Lee Lugosi argument as you do with the conflicted feelings, and I think that's totally acceptable. Really, I get it.
Yeah, it's a creaky old movie. I totally get it. And if it wasn't like kind of defined as a great movie in my 7-year-old brain, I probably would see the same kind of creakiness. If I was introduced to Christopher Lee first, I might like him as Dracula. But I was introduced as Lugosi with Lugosi, so he's the one I love. There you go. It just whatever you grew up with, it's all different, and that's why it's so cool to talk to horror fans because everybody has a different approach. It's awesome.
Indeed. And Billy G closes by saying, enjoying the show tremendously. Thank you so much, Billy D. Yes, I'm enjoying your show tremendously, so please keep up the fine work over there. With that, we'll roll on to our thank yous and shout outs. We'll start with the mascot of our show, Robin, at Robin031. Robin, thank you. I love you. Thank you for being the inspiration. Two Sleeps at Two Sleeps Music. Now, Two Sleeps puts on a concert that you can watch, yes, and even participate in. How do you do that, you might ask? Well, here's what you do. Sunday afternoons, approximately at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, type in Two Sleeps Music, Twitch TV, click on the link. Once you're there, you'll get involved in an interactive chat. Now go into the chat. Inside the chat window, there will be a link to a song list. You'll sign in there. Then you can pick a song you would like to hear. There's well over 200 to choose from. So what are you in the mood for? Be it some Foo Fighters, how about some Tom Petty, how about some Bob Seger, how about some Monkees, how about some original content, if you will. Great riff from Orbit or guitar, if you want. Yeah, there is a lot of fantastic rock, country, classic rock, if you will. Stray Cats, how about some rockabilly? It's all there. Commander Cody, how about some lighter fare, if you will, some comedic take, or even some Jerry Reed. Two Sleeps is an outstanding and talented musician, and the concerts will last about as long as it takes to get through the whole playlist. So there you have it. Not to be outdone, another concert is at Tuesday evenings, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, a very inexpensive Patreon for $1 mere a month. You can get some original content. And I have yet to join, but he's also doing some game streaming on late Wednesday evenings as well. I want to watch and participate in that as well. Oh, quick shout out to Kara, aka Karasaurus Rex, who does a lot of things behind the scenes to get the show up and running. Thank you so much for your support. And speaking of support, it's our friend Randy. So Randy, you can find him at Frumpy Sketch Artist over on Blue Sky. Randy Lander is one over on Twitter, some talented robotic sketches. Let's get the plug for the podcast first. This time, Soundtrack Alley is the podcast where Randy will look at how music enhances a film along with the film's history. But don't fall asleep on the coloring books that Randy has over on Amazon as we speak. We highly endorse those coloring books. Randy's talented robotic sketches you can find there as well every day on the socials. Thank you so much, Randy. It's our friend Clinton who does a podcast called Coffee and Comics. That's where Clinton will look at a comic book in about the time it takes to drink a cup of coffee. Occasionally, Clinton will have on a guest, ask some fascinating questions. Days of High Adventure, if time permits, Clinton will look at a sword and sorcery comic. And let's see, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Power Hour with John and Lane. And Fan Film Fridays, that's over at the Longbox Crusade feed, where Clinton and a guest will look at a fan film. Now, once you're at the Longbox Crusade feed, you will hit a treasure trove of podcasts, so please check them all out. All very entertaining. Prof was a recent guest on one, which him and Jared looked at a copy of the Marvel Comics Indiana Jones comic book, and I liked hearing some of the history that Prof recalls his first time watching Raiders, and that was very, very cool. So thank you so much. It's our friend Billy D. Magazines and Monsters is the main feed. And I'm smiling because Billy D covers a lot of things with respect to Bronze Age horror movies, fantastic shows with the Amicus movies as we speak. Now, he recently had on Chris from the Fire and Water Network on looking at the last one. Fantastic show. Really enjoyed the collaboration between the two gentlemen. Good stuff there. Brave and the Bob is one of my favorite podcasts, which looks at comic books written by Bob Haney, and he recently had Mark Gray on there, and they looked at Braven the Bold number 150, a book I certainly remember picking up from a 7-Eleven back in the day. So it was really, really a nostalgia trip for me. I can't thank Billy D for his comments and all the shows that he's done and having some fantastic guests on that were really entertaining this past week. So thank you so much, Billy D. Listener Emeritus, it's our friend Mac Rocks. Longtime supporter, D.S. May Collins. Longtime supporter, Chris Hamby. And we had The Gringo. We had Rad Adventures. That's our friends Darren and Roof over at the Rad Adventures Network. Recently appeared on an episode with Professor Allen at the Relatively Geeky Network looking at foreign comic books. Really, really enjoyed it. Good job, Darren and Ruth. Thank you so much, Professor Allen. And it's our friend Bill Beer over at the Bat Pod, Brett Mishaw. Thank you so much. And it's our friend Bill in Colorado. We also had Comic Foil. It's our friend Joey Galvez, the Monster Society of Evil, Jeff's Comics, Aquarad, Blue Snoopy, Stephen E. Schned, and Lori Goshard. If I overlooked you, my sincerest and deepest apologies. Please let me know on the socials at BTO and Batbooks. Better still, to cover all the bases, let the professor himself know at Professor Frenzy. Thank you so much, everyone, for your support, and please stay tuned for more.
Chris's Comics Corner.